I say a hello, hello, and a hello. Welcome to our number 2 of the line on talk 99.5. Welcome, everybody. Glad you are here as we just talk about stuff and things. That's what we do on this show. We're just talking about stuff and things. A lot of headlines to get to today, man. I'm backed up from. I even got some stuff from last week that I wanted to touch on that I hadn't been able to do yet, but things move so fast, as the news always does. Primaries today, by the way. I know Florida is doing their primaries. Let's see what states have going on. Alaska, Florida, Wyoming, and California. California's 14th district, I guess. Not the entire state of California. So California and the 14th congressional district will play, they're picking a replacement for Eric Swalwell, who resigned earlier this year. But I've even got a story on him. New Fang Fang files just dropped, which is good. It's good, man. So we'll see. I'll give you all that info and the rest. EC's still on the line. Should I try him one more time?
Give him a shot.
He's been hanging in there like my boy Rick.
I'll give you all that info.
And he's listening to us on the radio.
Let's see, he's going to catch up.
EC, what's up, buddy?
He's been hanging in there like my boy Rick.
Oh, my God.
EC.
And he's listening to us on the radio.
EC.
EC.
What's up, buddy? And like my boy,
He's obviously asleep or
He
something.
had to have fallen asleep.
I did.
By the time it caught up,
Yeah.
and he was listening, yeah.
He's still not answering. All right, EC. Thanks for the call,
Hope
buddy.
he's okay. Hope we didn't give him a heart attack or something.
I know, dude. Well, if you want to call us back. I just felt bad because he's been sitting on the line for so long. And he had us cranked up, too, didn't he? Had her cranked up. All right, let me start with this, just because this is interesting, and I've got an idea as to what I'm constantly thinking about, ideas that Donald Trump can use leading into the midterms to help, not just bolster Republicans' chances in the midterms, but long term in keeping Democrats out of office. And to set that up, there was a story about another major corporation fleeing California for a red state. And the explanation is what caught my eye. So this is Hill Davis, the CEO of Digital Brands Group based in California. He shared his reasoning for moving his company's headquarters to Round Rock, Texas. Davis told Fox News Digital the reason was, quote, doing business in the state of California sucks, end quote. That was literally his reasoning. Round Rock Chamber announced the move in a press release. Founded in California and known for its innovative approach to blending apparel brands with e-commerce technology and data-driven consumer solutions, Digital Brands Group's relocation marks a significant win for economic development in Round Rock. The company's move reflects the accelerating trend of growth-oriented companies choosing Texas for its business-friendly environment, skilled workforce, and strategic position in Central Texas. We are thankful to move to Texas, a business-friendly state from California. We believe the operating environment and cost of business is significantly better, while also creating a higher quality of life and lower cost of living for employees. We are excited to build our corporate headquarters in Round Rock, especially as we move into our next phase of growth. That's according to Davis, the CEO. Digital Brands Group will begin operations in 47,611 square feet, expanding to 70,300 square feet after 12 months. The company anticipates employing more than 30 people initially, with substantial growth expected following the first year. Yada, yada, yada. It goes into the economics of it, blah, 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 blah. But this is just the latest move in what is blue entities moving to red states, right? And the reason for that is obvious, but it's not just businesses, it's people too, people with assets. Now, it has become incredibly difficult for people to move in general, but not so much for people from high taxed blue states to move to red states because they're already getting taxed into oblivion. Now, if you're in a red state, it's incredibly hard to move anywhere else because you're almost making a lateral move or even a downward move because of, just general taxes, capital gains taxes, things of this nature. And that's where I think Donald Trump could step in and create a 24-month capital gains tax holiday for the sale of a primary residence. Because as everyone is already moving from blue states to red states, where millions of Americans are either escaping from blue states like California, New York, or Illinois, or planning their escape, or want to escape, but can't afford to move, this is one of the biggest migrations of U.S. citizens in U.S. history of both people and money, because it seems like everyone wants out of high tax, woke blue cities, but in reality, everyone is only 1% of the population. It's mostly wealthy Americans with assets, income, and businesses that can afford to move, because relocating your entire life is not an easy or inexpensive thing to do. The other 99% of, Republican homeowners are trapped because of high interest rates and capital gains taxes, which will wipe out much of their profits from selling their homes. And so people feel stuck. Most Americans are staying put, even though millions of Republican homeowners are trapped behind enemy lines in blue states and desperately want to escape. It is too expensive to move. So don't we want to encourage them to relocate to red states? Because if you do that, you then start to build the population of said red states, which turns into better census numbers, which turns into better seats in Congress. Seems like a win-win situation. Eliminate the capital gains tax, give people incentive to move. Can you imagine if everyone who wants to move could? Blue states would empty out. Red states would boom 10 times more than now with both people and money. And the biggest bonus of all, like I said, the 2030 census results would be amazing for the GOP. It would be the biggest drop for blue states and the biggest gain for red states in history. Red states would gain plenty of new seats in Congress and many more electoral votes and more federal funding, while blue states would lose seats in Congress, lose electoral votes, lose federal funding. That could possibly, and this is what I talk about often, what do you do to destroy the Democrat Party once and for all? Well, that could be one thing. Now, listen, I get it. It's just like every other situation. It's complicated. It's not black and white. Not everything is just cut cut and dry, because you have to worry about people migrating from blue states and bringing their blue policies with them. You don't want that. But at the same time, it could equal disaster for blue states. And you could have these people very well may change their minds. If they've been living under these blue people for so long, some of them, maybe a lot of them, who knows, don't want to do that anymore. Maybe they move to a red state and they say to themselves, oh, this is fantastic. Maybe this is what I need to start voting for. So just as Trump pushed and passed tax cuts on tips, on overtime, on Social Security, how can he push and pass a 24-month tax holiday for capital gains taxes on the sale of anyone's primary residence? In other words, for the next 24 months, let's assume it passes during the 2027 session and takes effect in that tax year. So for the years of 27, 28, and 29, if you sell your primary residence, you pay no capital gains taxes. That would create a giant boom of migration for, again, people trapped in blue states that want to get out. That's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And keep in mind, with Trump's new handpicked Fed chief, Kevin Warsh, maybe interest rates will be dramatically lower by 2027 as well. I would expect them to be, and that would be the perfect storm. So, I don't know. It's just an idea. But I'm always thinking about ways that you can disseminate or eliminate the Democrat Party. Because on the trajectory it is right now, it is headed towards a very dangerous place. And in some cases, they look like they're on a suicidal path, that they are going to eliminate themselves as a party. But you can't bank on that. You still have to put in the work and do what you need to do in order to make sure the Democrat Party never rises to power ever again. Because the more time that passes by, the crazier they seem to get. And they're allowing the inmates to run the asylum. They're allowing legitimate crazies to overtake their party. And if these people were to rise to power, God forbid, one day win the White House, this country would be done for. And that's the last thing we need. 205-545-9950. Let's keep on going right here on this Tuesday edition of The Line. Somebody said on the text line, would y'all please have Leland pay for the tower to get fixed? We know he has that Stern money. Cumulus can pay him back when the board approves it.
I know, man. It's crazy.
It is, man. It's just so much red tape, dude. I mean, it's and it's not exclusive to Cumulus. It's just kind of like uh in a corporate setting when something's got to be approved. It's not it it. In other situations, it's not something that disrupts the general public's daily lives like a tower issue does. You know, if a corporation is waiting for funding for, whatever it is, some sort of project that they're doing, that's not something that's going to affect a trucker that's driving down the interstate, on a long haul towards Atlanta or whatever, like our situation does, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, it ain't cheap. I'm telling you what, man, Mother Nature did a number on us.
Yeah. I've never seen a situation like that radio wise. Usually there's a pretty quick fix. I mean, even like we've got the biggest tower that the FCC allows, so it's no small feat. But when it comes to like some of the previous stations I worked for, or actually, I've worked for 3 stations. 2 of them were 100,000 watt stations, and one of them was a 1,000 watt station. So I went from, think about this, Jumper. I went from my first job, which was 1,000 watts AM station, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if there was an issue, the engineer just went out there and fixed it. I still remember his name to this day. His name was Ralph, and he was just the nicest guy. And if there was an issue, he just went out there and fixed it. No problem. But after my first job at a 1,000 watt station, I then moved to a 100,000 watt station. And the difference between the two, as far as fixing technical issues, is dramatically different. Of course, at a 1,000 watt station, you're dealing with a tower that reaches approximately 7 or 8 city blocks before the signal starts going out. You kind of got to be like right there in the area in town in order to pick up the station. But I don't know, man. I don't have the details on all that. I know as much as y'all do. And once it gets fixed, we'll know. Because I think what we have to do is go through third parties.
Yes.
They're kind of like, when it comes down to cutting a tree in your yard, like a big tree, you have to hire a tree cutting service, and it's incredibly expensive and everything else. It's the same thing with working on these towers. It's a high risk, high, liability situation that costs a lot of money because the people that are doing it probably have sky high insurance because of the dangers of said job. They're hundreds of feet, thousands of feet in the air, however high up it is. How tall is our tower? Do you know?
It's on top of Red Mountain, so it's already way up there. And then it's about over 300 meters, like about 1,000 feet.
Because our tower is the same as the Jocks Tower.
Mm-hmm.
So how tall is the Cumulus radio tower in Birmingham?
Obviously, you don't care what I said, so I'm an idiot. Okay, I understand that.
It stands at more than 1,000 feet. What did you say?
Mm-hmm. 1,000-foot tower.
Is that what you said?
Handled by specialized regional contractors.
Is that what you originally said, though?
Mm-hmm.
If I play it back, that's what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. You said 1,000.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here. Would you like to see it?
No, I'm looking at it too. I thought you were saying it off the top of your head. I didn't know you were reading it.
Oh, no. No, they were saying it in meters, but in meters, it's 1,000 feet.
300 meters.
Yeah, it was like 300 and something meters. Well, I first read it.
The primary FM radio tower used by Cumulus in Birmingham, such as WZRR 99.5, stands more than 1,000 feet in height above average terrain, operating with a maximum power of 100,000 watts from its transmitter site near Red Mountain.
Yeah, and that's it's on Red Mountain, so it's already
Way up there.
That's why everybody's on Red Mountain, because it's the highest point. In Greater Birmingham. So,
and you can get more than when you got 100,000 watts, which is all the FCC allows. You get even more coverage when you're up on a mountain like that.
Exactly. So you don't, like if it was out in a field or somewhere, you might be looking at like 4,000 or 5,000 feet. But with it being on the mountain, you don't have to build a tower as high.
It's a bazillion feet in the air, basically a bazillion feet above sea level.
I think so.
Yeah.
There's probably like Jolly Green Giants up there or stuff.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, I hope that answered your question. I'm sure it didn't. When I get back, I want to talk about Donald Trump's presser he did yesterday. Y'all remember at the end of the show, he had that lifeguard in the Oval Office. He was at one point shouting down a CNN reporter, and it was so good. I love when he does that. It's one of my favorite characteristics of Donald Trump. We'll give you that when we get back on the other side. Hang tight. 205 545 9950. 545-9950. So yesterday, Trump blew up on a CNN reporter during his Oval Office meeting with the teenage lifeguard whose name was Ryder Williams. He was I think he saved a 10-year-old in, where was it? Santa Cruz, did we say? Santa Cruz. It was the waves were crazy, and this kid was getting washed out to sea, and this lifeguard got up there and snatched him up and saved him. There was a lot of other patrons that got involved, but let's give the lifeguard the credit for it. I think that's appropriate. The 10-year-old boy and his dad were there as well. He was sitting beside him when Trump just wore out this CNN reporter. This is what happened right here. Listen.
He didn't like anybody, but I get along with him very well. No, what I'm doing is making things safer. Just the opposite. Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news. You're fake news. You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. You're a fake reporter, and you report fake news. Go ahead.
Mr. President, is there enough food on the USS Lincoln?
Yeah, it is. That was a CNN fake report.
Wait, what did the second question? It's like, is there enough food for our sailors on the USS Lincoln?
It's just, it's
stupid. And think about being a reporter and you just watch the CNN chick get worn out, and then you're like, oh, I think I can ask an even stupider question. Let me try. CNN had to put out a statement, though, defending their reporter, Kristen Holmes. They said, Kristen Holmes is one of the most respected and accomplished journalists covering the White House. This afternoon, she did her job and asked the President of the United States a tough, relevant, and newsworthy question on behalf of the American people. Public officials are free to challenge reporting they disagree with, but personal attacks on journalists for asking questions are beneath the office and inconsistent with the principles of a free press. We stand firmly behind Kristen and reject these attacks in the strongest possible terms.
Hear, hear.
Yeah, let's use strong terms against Donald Trump.
Yeah, but they may want to think that, rethink that the American people want to know, standing behind the American people.
Yeah. You're not representing
Ain't nobody
us.
standing behind CNN.
Yeah, they're not. You're not representing me, buddy. Yeah. And it was just the other day, Donald Trump was ripping Shannon Bream on Fox News, too. Because she has... Shannon Bream, who seems like a super nice lady, she now does a Sunday show and has to be, like, super critical of everything. That's just how these Sunday shows operate. But she's constantly bringing on the most obnoxious liberals, like Juan Williams and Jessica Tarlov and all these people. And it's like, And she lets him and Donald Trump's getting frustrated by it. He's like, this is ridiculous. He said this in a True Social. He said, I don't know Shannon, but she always seems to pick guests, charts, and polls that are negative, never talking about all of the incredible things that the Trump administration has done, like total border control, the most successful stock market in history, 81 record days in a year and a half, biggest investment in our country's history, $19.2 trillion, breaking the record by many times over, the great military victories over Venezuela, and the essential denuclearization of Iran. He also says, at the beginning, he said, watching Fox News with Shannon Bream is always like watching the worst of fake news CNN. He ends up going, the rest to follow. The lowest crime rate in recorded history, the lowest murder rate since 1900, 125 years, the highest number of people that have jobs in the United States ever, the fact that the United States is more respected throughout the world than any other time in memory, the biggest drop in drug prices, over 500%, than has ever been seen before, which will lead to tremendous savings in healthcare, the rebuilding of our military in my first term, making it the strongest in U.S. history, the inclusion of Space Force, and so many other things. Yet, week after week, I see Shannon interviewing, quote unquote, hostile guests and having losers like Juan Williams, who got fired like a dog from PBS, was thrown off of the 5 for somebody even dumber than him, Jessica Tarlov. And when he saw me walking into the headquarters of Fox, he went crazy, begging me for a picture. Quote, could I have a picture with you? It would be such a great honor. He's talking about Juan Williams begging him for a picture. In any event, Trump says, Shannon's show, quote unquote, is beyond redemption. Fortunately, MAGA, which is close to 100% of the Republican Party, understands that. And watch her ratings start to fall. Chris Wallace was bad, but Shannon is even worse. Oh well, it couldn't have had too much of an impact because I'm now heading back into the Oval Office to continue working on more triumphs and successes for our country. Then he said another one. He said another post. He was obviously watching that morning. He said, during Shannon Bream's show, they showed pictures of the military complex / ballroom site at the White House. Unfortunately, the pictures were months old before much work had been started. Now, the hardest work is substantially complete with work on the roof / drone port to begin very shortly. Why didn't Shannon Bream milk toast to her friends show the updated pictures instead of the ones that were so old and irrelevant? Her show, Fox News Sunday, is so biased against MAGA, Trump, and Republicans that it is ridiculous. Even Chris Wallace was better, and he was really bad. And then he puts in parentheses, where is Chris Wallace? Also, she, Brett Baer, and others should stop showing fake polls. They're just embarrassing themselves. It reminds me of the November 5th, 2024 presidential election, just prior to winning in a landslide, including 7 out of 7 swing states, the popular vote, 86% of the counties, and the Electoral College, 312 to 226.
I can see his fingers just flailing away typing. It just strikes me as he's like, no, I got this.
He's on a roll. Well, but he doesn't type those out normally. Usually he's not the one typing. He's got his assistant, which is Natalie Harp.
She must have some fast fingers because he's flying.
Yeah, so Natalie Harp is kind of like his main sidekick and has been by his side throughout. I think she just joined this term or that the 2024 campaign. She is a young lady who had bone cancer and was destined to die. Like, doctors were telling her, hey, you might as well just go ahead and die off. It'll be beneficial to other people. They can have your organs and we can study you and all this kind of stuff. And it was Donald Trump's decision to go with the right to try policy that ended up saving her life. And so she found a way to reach out to Trump just to tell him that, to say, hey, you literally saved my life. And Trump was impressed by her and brought her on board. And so she is like his main assistant for when he travels and when he's tweeting and everything else. She's sitting beside him with a keyboard. And so Trump's rattling off his thoughts and she's typing away. Now, it's interesting because she is now a part of the Democrat talking points, or at least in liberal circles, where they're now going after her and accusing her of sleeping with Donald Trump, this young girl. And the first Democrat politician to bring that up happened to be John Ossoff, who just did that the other day. Now, John Ossoff is up for re-election as he won in 2020, but he was holding a rally, I guess, in Atlanta or somewhere, and he alluded to the Natalie Hart thing, saying this.
And while the sailors on the Lincoln fight his war, while he fruitlessly drains our munitions and oil reserves, the president sleeps through his meetings. He golfs and trades stocks. See, he doesn't want to do the job. He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace gifted by the Emir of Qatar.
Oh, John, you're so funny.
It's sad.
And he brings up, because Natalie Harp is not somebody that's in the spotlight. Like you don't see her on TV, you don't see her at press conferences, you don't see Natalie. She's behind the scenes. But John Ossoff is bringing her up because of these unfounded, made-up rumors that Natalie, and by the way, for the party of women's rights and women's empowerment, they're awfully misogynistic, because what John Ossoff is doing here is he is alluding to Natalie Hart sleeping her way to her position. He's alluding to Natalie Hart having an affair with Donald Trump. That's what he's saying. Now, John Ossoff is a weirdo, first of all. He's a robot. If you watch that clip that we just played, you will see John Ossoff stiff as a board going back and forth from his left teleprompter to his right teleprompter. These people are so utterly fake. But he's like, Natalie, he's traveling with Natalie. So during that same press conference that Donald Trump wore out the CNN reporter, he was asked about the Ossoff deal. And he responded to it by saying this right here.
John Ossoff said you'd rather travel with your aide, Natalie Harp, and build the ballroom than do your job as president. What is your response, John Ossoff?
You mean Pee Wee Herman? Pee Wee Herman lookalike? No, I would much rather do other things. We're building a great facility here. We're fixing a White House that hasn't been taken care of. You can look at this. This room was a disgraceful situation in the Oval Office, and it was let go. The whole building, the White House, was let go. The exteriors were falling apart. The columns were falling apart. The whole place was a mess. In addition, they've been trying to get a ballroom for the last 150 years. And when I said I was going to build a ballroom, the military asked if they could see me. And they say, sir, we have an opportunity to go down deep into the ground and build a military facility to go to the White House and to go with all of Washington, D.C., which would be so valuable. And then they came up with the drone port on top, which would be a major drone port to protect the White House and all of D.C. And all of those things added up, and it became much more than just a ballroom. And I said to myself, wow, what an opportunity. I mean, if I was just going to build a ballroom, I could have had it built very quickly, because I build very well and very quickly. We went 5 stories down into the ground. We did a lot of tremendous things for the military, things that they could never get. They said, this is an opportunity that we have because you're building the ballroom, that if you would be willing to spend more time, we would love to be able. We've been trying to do this at the White House for many, many years, and they've been trying to have a ballroom at the White House for many, many years.
It's very impressive to hear what they were wanting to do on the military side with the ballroom. But the best part of that clip was the very beginning. When he's asked about John Ossoff, and he says, oh, you mean the Pee Wee Herman lookalike? Play that again. Play that from the top. You're talking about John Ossoff, Pee Wee Herman?
You mean Pee Wee Herman? Pee Wee Herman lookalike? No, I would much rather do other things.
Oh, that's good. It's so good.
He's just razor sharp, man.
And he does, man. Have y'all seen John Ossoff? The dude looks like Pee Wee Herman. And he's a weirdo.
Don't put that on poor Pee Wee Herman. God bless us.
I mean, Pee Wee Herman beat off in a movie theater, and John Ossoff is still more weird than he is. So, I'm just saying, dude. Like, what a freak. That dude's got some skeletons. He's much like Tim Walz. Of course, most of these Democrats have skeletons. Some Republicans do as well. Let's not leave them out. But Democrats wear their skeletons all over them. You can see it in their face. A lot of them are absolute weirdos. So it was just last week that Trump unloaded on what he called treasonous individuals behind the White House ballroom lawsuit. Because what happened is once they started suing Trump for the ballroom, they ended up leaking in a sense leaking all the information, the secret information that was going to be associated with the military part of it. This stuff was supposed to remain secret because with what your military does, you don't want everybody to know, especially your enemies, to know how your military command center is laid out. But because of the lawsuit, they had to have, discovery and all the information about what was involved with the White House and building this and building that. And so I think Donald Trump's right. This was on Saturday. He branded the leaders of the lawsuit as treasonists, accusing them of exposing sensitive military information tied to the protection of the president. It was the National Trust for Historic Preservation, a privately funded activist outfit that pretends to be a government agency. And you can imagine where they get their funding. Filed the lawsuit to halt the East Wing Modernization Ballroom project. In the process, they exposed top secret military features of the project to America's enemies around the globe. They were warned. They were shown the plans. The United States military and Secret Service told them the facility was vital to the safety of the president and every future president, but they did it anyway. Director of National Intelligence Jay Clayton warned in a declaration cited in the administration's new Supreme Court filing that the project is critical to securing meetings of the president, senior government officials, and other gatherings vital to American interests. They said the project is critical for ensuring that the White House can serve as a secure location for the gathering of the president, gathering of senior government officials, and gatherings that further the interest of the United States. Donald Trump posted, Jay Clayton, Director of National Intelligence, the project is critical for the ensuring blah, 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 or what I just read you there. The project on the complex also will improve the level of protection and ability to manage and mitigate threats to the president and senior government officials, and will enhance the handling, management, and utilization of IC information, including the conduct of IC-directed support to the complex. That was Trump tweeting out or truthing out a quote from Jay Clayton. He added that the project would improve, blah, blah, blah. You heard all that. The administration's August 14th application asked the Supreme Court for an immediate stay before the lower court injunction takes effect on August 21st. Trump erupted on Truth Social after the legal battle forced the administration to describe previously undisclosed security elements in court, including fortified construction, underground facilities, military-grade ventilation, upgraded medical capabilities, missile-resistant structural components, and an elevated platform designed to counter aerial threats, which I would assume is the drone port. He said, the National Trust for Historic Preservation is a beautiful name, this is Trump, but even their name is fake because when they add the words in the United States to the National Trust for Historic Preservation, it makes it sound like a governmental agency, which it is not. In fact, the United States refused to continue funding it in 2005 because they strongly disagreed with their mission and objectives. They are very bad for our country. It's a much longer post, which I can give you when we get back on the other side. Hour number 3 of the line coming up right after this.